Okay, so I've been an NBA fan for the last 11 years. I'm coming up on my 11-year anniversary of watching a full NBA season. I'm a Knicks fan. Yes, I've seen the rough days. If I need to prove my mettle to anyone, I'll rattle off a few names. Jose Calderon, Mindaugas Kuzminskis, Alonzo Trier, Billy Hernangomez, Kyle O'Quinn. I've seen some dark days as a Knicks fan. This video isn't really about the Knicks. I just felt that, when I come out and say I'm a Knicks fan, I have to, what kind of Knicks fan are you? Are you somebody from 2020s? No. Mid-2010s, started watching the Knicks. Just so happened to be the thing on TV. And so that's how that came to be. I should make a video about how I became a fan at some point, but I think I basically just did it. That's not the one thing I want to talk about today, but it is pretty interesting. And honestly, I think maybe if I were to do a video about fandom, it would be something where it's a microcosm of how we view companies and how people view themselves. And really from this angle that it's like every year watching the Knicks, I expected them to get better, and every player on the Knicks, I expected them to get better. Like player development is just supposed to be this linear thing. And Alonzo Trier, who started out as a bucket getter for the Knicks, the best I had ever seen at the time, was going to be face of the franchise, leading point guard. I'll just wait till he adds this to his bag. Wait till he adds this to his bag. Wait till he learns how to defend. Wait till Frank Ntilikina learns how to shoot. Oh my gosh, did he have a double-double before the pandemic, the game before the pandemic? I've been waiting like 5 years for that to happen at that point. This is not a video about that, but I do think that's an interesting concept. What I want to talk about today is the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver. Recently, he said that the NBA is, I'm going to paraphrase, but he essentially said the NBA is a highlights-based league. And he really spotlighted all the ways that people can interact with the sport. My understanding is this is a response to, it's a response to a reporter's question, but it's a response to a broader conversation about how the NBA is slowly getting outside of reach for common people. And it's a kind of a two-sided conversation where at one side you have like the NBA signing all these different deals. So even to watch your favorite team, you have to go through a lot of different streaming services. And then there's also the conversation recently about how Streamies, the world's largest streaming platform, got raided, shut down the other day. Doing a little bit of cursory research, it may or may not still be up, but just the idea of it happening, right before football, a month before NBA, I think they're trying to send a sign like, take out your wallets or watch TikTok. And I will say one take that I've seen over the course of the NBA offseason is that the idea of these NBA edits and different ways that social media is kind of quote unquote saving the NBA, really the idea that all the positivity that people are having towards the NBA, that people are expressing online, is creating more excitement and interest about the league. And I mean, I can't say that, be positive all the time. Like that's what it's going to be. Like there's going to be critiques and then there's going to be things like rage bait. And I mean, it really goes to, as I call a timeout here. I'm going to call a timeout here just to have a quick conversation about content. As someone who is sitting here speaking into a microphone, recording content, I'm torn. And I'm torn because I have this theory about content that I feel like is currently half-baked. It starts with the premise that all content drives more content. I don't think this is a new thing. I think people say content begets content, and that's essentially what it's saying. You make one piece of content and it builds and builds and other people grab it and make content out of that. I'm going to really lay it out how I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth here, because out of one side, I feel like everyone should make a YouTube channel. I feel like it's been personally therapeutic for me, and I understand that what's therapeutic for me may not be therapeutic for everybody else. I understand that people may have strong anxiety speaking into a microphone, but it's a way of getting your ideas and organizing your thoughts. I think that it also helps build a lot of skills that will be useful in a lot of different situations. And then it's the idea that you could get paid from this one day, which is not a concept that's lost on me. I'll just say that. Shouts out to my 3 subscribers. And I mean, the big point there is just like, just be dignified, don't act out. And, then I begin to speak out of the other side of my mouth, maybe do, maybe just be the most ridiculous person you can be on the internet, catch a wave and go with it. You know, make the money that you're here to make, if you're even here to make the money, and do that with your life. I think another thing, just as I extend this time out, I may have to take like a TV time out, honestly, on this one, or like a halftime. This isn't really halfway through the video. Rambling. I get it. Let me stop. I've grown weary of everything basically outside of my own body. The air I breathe, the people I see. In some sense, when I put my content lens on, it's all content. And I think what makes content good is how well people can take it and flip it into more content. Not really the quality of what I'm saying, but can people take that, view it, and it's not even a matter of reacting to what I said, or reacting to what I didn't say, or reacting to what you want to have heard. It's really just, will somebody else pick up a microphone and just bounce whatever they want to say off of my thing? And if my thing does that 100,000 times, where people are commenting or not subscribing, commenting, making additional videos, writing articles, getting on the news, talking to other people, like word of mouth style, like it's not just having a conversation with another human being in person. All of that is content, and good content is able to do that. I think at the very minimum, it's like a quantifiable thing that makes content good. Liking it, just interacting with it in some way, is what makes the content good. The quality of what I'm saying feels independent of that. And maybe I'm just saying that to make myself feel better, but I mean, I don't really feel bad. I've had YouTube channels before. None of them have gotten like critically acclaimed success, but ... I feel pretty good about how they're going, and it's helped me build up a patience to say what this channel is both a vehicle for me to hopefully, you know, not even hopefully, but if it turns into something like that, great. But really, it's more of the first thing that I was saying before, the idea of getting ideas out of my mind and fleshing them out in this kind of style. And it's really this idea that content begets content, that leads us to phrases like, you know, bad press is good press because it's press. You know, I think eyeballs are the thing that leads to dollar signs, independent of love or hate, because both love and hate can lead to dollar signs. And so I think emotion is like another thing you just take out of it. I try not to get rage baited as much from content because it just damages me, and because the people who have made it, they have made a decision about what's important to them. They are trying to get something out of me, attention, eyeballs, dollar signs. Maybe not necessarily dollar signs all the time, because it's not always about money. For some people, it could just be the attention. For some people, it could be the conversation. There are a lot of things that content creates that I think people desire and want. And like as social creatures, and then as creatures to protect family and the way that we live and circumstance, everything like that. I think that's why people will make and continue to make the ridiculous content. And so taking it back to this idea that Adam Silver is talking about, there's a lot of free content to consume around the NBA, and there will be plenty more content this season. I think it's probably more accurate to say that there will be more content this season as opposed to less content. And when I say content here, I'm talking free content, like he's talking about your Instagrams, your TikToks, your Twitter, X, whatever social media, like whatever is, I think the exact phrase he uses is essentially free. Like there will be more of it. And I mean, I'll say this, I think my Knicks have a chance to win next year, and I will be consuming an insane amount of Knicks content every day for the next 10 months, starting in October, maybe starting in a few weeks actually, kind of like I've done every year for the last 11 years. Which takes me to the one thing I want to say. I have one thing I want to say about waiting for the good stuff. I think there's beauty in waiting, particularly when it comes to something as exciting as live sports or a basketball game. I think the wait, the anticipation, the buildup comes as part of the feelings of the game. And I spent last video talking about how I fell in love with Jin, and it wasn't as much the anticipation, but I did acknowledge, I think, that the show takes time. And there's something about the NBA and time. that I want to talk about. So in order to talk about this, I want to tell a story. And this goes back to when I first started watching the NBA in the 2013 finals. And if you're thinking like, hey, wait, I thought you said you watched for 11 years. I feel like I really started watching like the full season 11 years ago. But yeah, I was sitting there watching the 2013 finals. And this story is about a player who would go on to win multiple championships with multiple different teams. Legit, when I was watching the finals at the time, I thought he was the best player on the court. You know, people say all that stuff about the eye test and everything like that. Like, he blew me away. Can you guess who I'm talking about?
Here's Danny Green for the win. Yes, he did!
Yeah, man, Danny Green. This guy made 27 threes in that finals, and it was crazy. I mean, like, even going into it watching, I knew who LeBron was, sure, but I didn't know anyone else. So my eyes would just like fixated on Danny Green in a way that I don't think they would have if I knew who like Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. Did I mention Tony Parker? I mentioned Tony Parker now, Kawhi Leonard. All of these different guys, like legends in the game, playing each other in this, you know, this NBA finals. But I was just watching Danny Green. Every time this guy ran around the court, this guy would catch the ball, rise up, nail a three. I remember having a hard time remembering his name, but it was his shooting form. It was just so like, it was so straight and flowy. And when he went up, it just always seemed to go in. It was like, I was so transfixed on watching Danny Green three-pointers. I thought he was the best player on the court, legitimately. Like, I was confused. Why do people talk about LeBron so much when Danny Green is right there? And some of the things I hear, you know, coming away from it that years later is that Danny Green may have won Finals MVP if the Spurs had won that series. And I know that's the series where Ray Allen hits the big shot. But it's so interesting when you're new to a sport and you just try to follow one thing. And the one thing that I followed for whatever reason was Danny Green. So this is a conversation about waiting, as I said before, and it's waiting and it's anticipation. There's something about highlights that Adam Silver was talking about at the time that, you know, the idea of waiting, the big anticipation is missing. So continuing this, I mean, like, I didn't even go to school and talk to my friends about Danny Green. They didn't watch the NBA. For some reason, I just was clicking through channels, as you did in 2013 when you were a bored kid, and you land on the NBA for some reason, and you just start watching. And so I'm sitting there in school thinking about Danny Green. Like, I didn't like to play basketball at the time. I couldn't dribble or do anything, so I didn't even really try. It was just really thinking about the flow of his jump shot. It was just like, seriously, in my brain. I'd be sitting in science class, you know, trying to focus. I mean, it's June, so you're not really focusing on anything, but, you know, just like thinking of Danny Green's jump shot. Like, how many is he going to make tonight? It was so bad. Well, I say bad, but it was so something that I didn't even know when the finals came on. Like, you'd open up the guide when you were watching cable TV and you try to go forward, but sometimes it would stop at like the end of the day or something like that. Like when it went to 12 a.m., sometimes it would stop, or if you went too many days ahead. I had no clue what times the NBA finals came on, and I didn't know how to set reminders or anything like that, the stuff you could do on the VCR. I'm sure people are going to uncover this video years from now and be like, what on earth is this guy talking about? And so that was some of the really special feelings about waiting, the in-between the NBA finals games. Danny Green didn't make 27 threes in, you know, a 30-minute span or a 4-minute highlight reel. This was, you know, 4 threes here, 5 threes here, 3 over here, 7 over there, 6. You know, like, this is over the course of the month of June, waiting for Danny Green to catch the ball. You know, my whole weeks at a time were built around the 5 to 10 times this guy would shoot the ball during these 2.5 hours. And man, it was glorious. And I just want to, you know, hold my hands up here and say this could totally be nostalgia talking. Like, I could just be like, oh wow, 2013, what a beautiful time. But I still believe that there's a beauty in watching the drama of the game unfold, because even when you're watching it in real time, and maybe waiting is not the right word, it's anticipating. I was sitting in class anticipating. When the finals thing is starting up, I'm anticipating. When Mike Breen is talking, introducing everybody to the NBA Finals game, whatever it was, I'm anticipating. When LeBron James does whatever and, misses the shot and they get the rebound and throw it around the way the Spurs beautifully play, but not 2014 beautifully played and got it to Danny Green, I was, oh my gosh, he's actually going to shoot the ball. When he rose up, I was like, here it comes. The thing I've been spending all week waiting for is right here. Watching the drama of live sports unfold in real time, like, that's something that will be timeless, I think. Just watching things happen live, because truly everyone's fate is undecided. I can sit here now and talk to you, Ray Allen made the shot, all this stuff happened, but there is nothing that's going to replace watching Danny Green shoot the ball at the time when it mattered. And there's no shot that matters more than the shot that's going up right now. So look, he's right. Technically, people will watch TikTok, make more TikTok. The amount of NBA content is going up. There's going to be so much free stuff to watch. You could make the argument that it's so much that you could get the full game experience of so yeah, Adam Silver's technically right. People can watch TikToks, they're gonna make more TikToks, all this content that people are gonna make about the NBA. I mean, I even consider this video to be NBA content adjacent, at least. The amount of content is going to go up, not down. But there's the emotions, the anticipation of it, all the feelings of watching the game from start to finish. That I haven't watched a lot of videos on people's Adam Silver comments or takes. I think part of my ritual of preparing for the NBA season is cleansing my feed of NBA stuff so that when the NBA season starts, I can just soak it into my eyes for 10 months straight. So yeah, I'm not even in preseason mode right now. But I mean, it's the idea about emotions, and it's the idea that eyeballs are what lead to dollar signs. And Adam Silver, as the commissioner of the NBA, is interested in dollar signs and not really about love. They say to some, and I think back to my own personal experience of watching Danny Green jump shots, love is priceless. I can't put a price on that amount of time. And there's no typing in YouTube and instant gratification of a Danny Green highlight reel that's going to bring back that feeling, that love that I have, how I fell in love with the NBA through the waiting for Danny Green to shoot the three. And to others, love is not worth putting a price on. What, profit maximization strategy does Adam Silver get from giving people what they want? And I'm not asking that question to be a contrarian. I think I'm just asking that question to kind of rationalize it to myself. The fact that you got to open up your wallet or watch TikTok, man, and all those feelings, maybe that's the thing, There is a price on all those feelings, and it's exactly how much it costs to stream the NBA. Everybody else won't get those feelings. They'll get the game spoiled, and they'll have to watch Danny Green, TikToks and stuff. But it's not a lot of fun. I don't know. I kind of ended the video. I'm ending the video on kind of a sour note, and I don't really know how else to end it but that. To some, love is priceless, and to others, love is not worth putting a price on.